Here for another bowl preview. This time it is Virginia Tech versus Maryland in the new era Pinstripe Bowl. Welcome into the Fan X Sports Channel for sports fans by sports fans. It's your boy Coach I. Where my dogs at? All right, we here for another bowl preview. This time it is Virginia Tech versus Maryland in the new era Pinstripe Bowl. This game will be played on December the 29th at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPN. These are two former ACC rivals, but Maryland is now in the Big Ten. They have been for about 5 years now, I think, maybe a little bit more. But we're going to bring one of our previous guests back to talk the Virginia Tech side of things and get his perspective on it. Let's go ahead and welcome in Carter. What's going on, Carter?
How's it going? Yeah, thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it. It's definitely that fun time of year with bowl season coming around, and yeah, excited to talk Virginia Tech, Maryland, and in the Pinstripe Bowl.
He's on Twitter. He has his personal account. Give him your personal account information, Carter, and then tell him about the fifth quarter.
So personal account is at CBHill_03, and then our FQ account is at FQ Virginia Tech, and you can follow our account there. It's affiliated fifth quarter and college football home to catch you up on, everything Virginia Tech football and now Virginia Tech basketball too, since we're heading into basketball season. So it's a fun time of year, and hopefully the Hokies get it going in basketball too a little bit, because there's some potential there, but they got to get it going. So it's a fun time of year. So definitely follow along, and we'll have your your content coming your way.
And Carter is a current Virginia Tech student, so he is in the know. Speaking of being in the know, got to be in the know about Brent Pry, the new head coach, after Fuentes was let go or parted ways, or however the political term they want to say it, fired in my world. So how are you feeling about Brent Pry, Carter?
It's funny because how I describe it to friends is the day Justin Fuente was fired, it was a parted ways, however, like you were saying, you want to say it. It was a Tuesday morning he was let go, and Brent Pry was hired on a Tuesday morning. And Tuesday mornings this past semester was my day to sleep in. And both news, were broken Tuesday morning. Like Justin Fuente was 7:45 in the morning. There was no chance I would have been up anyway. Brent Pry was like 9 a.m. So I was up pretty quickly and can kind of get involved with what was going on. I kind of had a decent idea that it was down to him and a couple others, just so I could get prepared for my own things. The following day, it was announced at noon officially, and we were kind of on a roll from there. But yeah, like when you heard Brent Pry initially, at least for me, I was like, really? Like, is that the best Virginia Tech can do? Just because, honestly, I had only heard Brent Pry's name probably 2 or 3 times watching a Penn State game in passing, not even like seriously giving him a thought. I had recognized the name, but I didn't know much about him at all. I didn't know anything about him really. And I was like, but I fell into that trap of it, being it wasn't the sexiest hire Virginia Tech could have made. And it certainly wasn't. It definitely was not the sexiest hire Virginia Tech could have made. But the more time has gone on, the more I really, really do like the hire. Because I think the fit is there for Virginia Tech. Like I said, I didn't know much about Brent Pry. I didn't know his background. I didn't know he graduated high school 90 minutes up the road. He coached at Virginia Tech in the past under Coach Beamer and Bud Foster. So that's obviously going to get people pretty excited. And, he just understands Virginia Tech. So for him to come here to understand the culture, he seemed to know what was missing. He hit on really all the points in the press conference when it came to, he talked about fan engagement. He talked about recruiting the state of Virginia, which is, a big talking point with Virginia Tech fans. He talked about getting Virginia Tech back to where it should be, and, kind of opening up the curtain just a little bit for fans to view in and for former players to view in. That's been seen as a problem as well. So he seemed to know what to hit on. He seemed to know what the issue is. I'm sure he was educated coming in, so he'd be prepared. But he seems to have, kept track of Virginia Tech over the years. I was reading something the other day. A student journalist wrote over at Penn State about how they talked to some of his former players at Penn State, and Brent Pry, cliche or not, used to always talk about Virginia Tech linebackers in Penn State meetings, kind of connecting back to the old Virginia Tech defensive days, like really, really old days. Like he was a coach at Virginia Tech in the late 90s when the Beamer era really, really started to, started to get underway, and the Hokies, were consistently in the top 5 and would play in the national championship game. Never won it, but would play in the national championship game. So he definitely understands Virginia Tech football. I think, he's off to a pretty nice start with his staff. I did have the confidence in him that he'd be able to put a pretty good staff in place with all of, his experience at the Power 5 level. Of course, no head coaching experience is going to be a concern. It still is a concern for me. But honestly, like looking at the trends across the Power 5, there's a lot of schools that went the Power 5 out this year.
A lot of schools. You're right.
Oregon, Oklahoma, Virginia Tech, Virginia,
Oregon,
Duke. I'm probably missing some, but those are some Power 5. Oregon, yeah, they just hired Dan Lanning. That's the way we're going in college football. And there really wasn't that many, too many hot names out there in terms of, we heard, I'm drawing a blank now. It's been so long. I mean, we heard Charles Huff at Marshall. I don't know how involved he was. We heard actually Matt Campbell at Iowa State. We heard, we had a couple people report Mike Houston at ECU. I'm missing the big one right now. I can't even think of it.
Was Billy Napier up for a discussion?
Billy Napier, yeah. Okay, there's one. But that was even earlier in the process, and then Florida scooped him up. Towards the back half, there definitely, were some names floating around that people were, pretty excited about and pretty, I don't know. But Brent Pry, certainly when he was hired, the fan base, I wouldn't say they were jumping up for joy, but after watching the press conference and kind of seeing who he's brought on with his staff and kind of how much he seems to embrace being at Virginia Tech, I think he's certainly won a lot of the fan base over. And I certainly think he has the tools to win here. He obviously has the football IQ. He was regarded as one of the best defensive coordinators in college football at Penn State. He may have stayed at Penn State full-time if an opportunity like this didn't come open. Brent Venables probably would have stayed at Clemson full-time if a job like Oklahoma didn't come open. So I think it's a good hire by Virginia Tech. Time will tell, obviously, but I think everyone in the ACC really made a good hire, to be honest with you. So I think, like I said, time will tell. We'll see how he does on the recruiting trail. That's the other thing I didn't bring up. He's, a proven recruiter in the state of Virginia. He's recruited a lot of big-time players at Penn State, and he was arguably one of Virginia Tech's top poachers in that area when he was at Penn State. So whenever you want to take someone away from poaching you, grab the poacher out of exactly. So Brent Pry comes over to Virginia Tech, and now hopefully he should be able to help the Hokies out on the recruiting trail. And yeah, I think it's a good hire. We'll see what happens, but I think he's off to a good start. Like I said, I do have some concerns about no head coaching experience, but I think he's definitely, he definitely has the keys to run a successful program, and I think he'll be a good CEO for.
Well, so far, with him coming in, and Fuentes leaving, you haven't had a mass exodus like some schools we've seen this year in 2021 when they fired their coach. Right now, it's just Tavion Robinson, the starting wide receiver. He's the only one that I actually saw that entered his name into the portal. That doesn't mean that he can't be talked out of the portal. So I guess it'll. I know it was some reports that he had committed to Kentucky, but I didn't know if that was confirmed or not. So do you know anything about that?
So, well, he posted something on Twitter that he was committed to Kentucky, and then he deleted it 3 minutes later. So, I mean, it seems like he's going to Kentucky. I don't know why he deleted it. It seems like he is going to Kentucky, and if so, good for him. And Virginia Tech will be, in the market for a new wide receiver one.
That's right. So, hey, man.
But that's the day and age we live in for college football.
Most definitely, especially that's going to happen regardless of the coaching changes, but especially if you change coaches, then you're going to, we saw with Oklahoma. Oklahoma had a mass exodus. I think they lost like 6 players within 48 hours of Lincoln Riley announcing his new destination. But that's just what it is. You got to try to, I guess that's a lot of times why these colleges fire these coaches too so soon, because with the day and age that we're in where kids can up and leave, you don't even know if you're going to have the same team next year. So we need to win right now. So.
Absolutely.
Well, with that said, man, we can go ahead and start talking about some of these numbers for both teams. Virginia Tech's bowl record. It's something I mentioned in my last video. It's crazy to think that a lot of these schools that always play in bowl games don't have winning records in bowl games. Virginia Tech's bowl record, they have 33 bowls, 13 wins, 20 losses. Last bowl they played in was 2019 Belt Bowl, lost to Kentucky. Maryland's just a smidge better. 27 bowls, 11 wins, 14 losses, 2 ties. Their last bowl, they lost to Boston College, actually, so not too good for them. But their last bowl was in 2016. They haven't been to a bowl game since 2016. So for those Maryland players, I'm guessing that's been told to them here now for the last 2 weeks or so. So we're gonna see how that goes. Maryland's strength obviously is their quarterback, Tagovailoa, the passing game. They got the tight end. I think he's declared for the draft, but he did say he's going to play in the Penn State Bowl. I mean, the Pinstripe Bowl. And they only had one guy that I found that was in the transfer portal, and that was their running back, Penny Boone, who over the course of his time at Maryland has only had like 258 yards or something like that. So I don't think that he's a major contributor. If you're a Maryland fan out there, if I'm wrong, you can correct me on that. So this is going to be an interesting game to say the least. Maryland's strength is their offense. And let's just talk about that. So Maryland's offense is averaging 27.3 points a game, but Virginia Tech is only giving up 22.9 points a game. Same thing with yards per game. Maryland's averaging more than Virginia Tech's giving up, averaging 437 yards. Virginia Tech's only giving up 377. So rush yards, they're only averaging 130, but Virginia Tech's actually giving up 164. So this is going to be interesting. How are you feeling about, your defense against that offense?
Yeah, no, I think the one thing for Virginia Tech in this matchup is, first off, I have my Yankee sweatshirt on because it's at Yankee Stadium. So I threw this on for that. That's really cool in my opinion, playing this bowl game at Yankee Stadium. So yeah, no, it'll be a fun matchup. It's two teams that have, in a way, had pretty similar seasons. Maryland hasn't gone to a bowl game, like you said, since I believe 2016. I think that's the last time they went to a bowl game. Virginia Tech, and they had gone to 27 in a row, and then last year they opted out with COVID. So starting a new streak now, going to the Pinstripe Bowl up in the Bronx. And yeah, no, remind me, you asked about Virginia Tech's defense versus Maryland's offense. Or
Virginia Tech's defense. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so from what I've gathered about Maryland, kind of looking into them early on, I mean, obviously, like you said, it revolves around the quarterback, Talia Tagovailoa. I mean, no secret who he's related to. Obviously, Tua, Alabama. He started at Alabama. Now Tua is with the Miami Dolphins and having a decent NFL career. And Talia is not that level yet, and probably won't be that level. He's, I think, a solid quarterback. I think if he was at a school with a lot of other weapons around him, he would have a shot to be really, really good. But I think he's kind of lacking some assets around him. So we'll see. I think he's a decent quarterback. Like you said, he's their best player offensively, so you got to find a way to stop him. Anyone with the last name Tagovailoa figured it doesn't take much research to realize you have to stop him. So, yeah, he's going to be the guy. And then looking at it even more, you mentioned a running back in the portal. He was their fourth leading rusher this year. Tyon Fleet-Davis is their leading rusher, and by a lot, actually, with 664 rushing yards. And then it goes to Colby McDonald, and I believe you pronounce it Shaleen.
Hey, I saw the name, but I wasn't going to even try
it. So, they're a decent team on the ground, but it really is all of Fleet-Davis. And, Tagovailoa is the guy. But then in the air, too, Raheem Jarrett, I know he's a pretty good receiver, 769 yards on the season on 56 receptions and 5 touchdowns. And then Dante Demas Jr., he's another one in the air that you're going to have to stop. So Maryland's offense, like you said, has a chance to put up points. It all depends on the quarterback, but they seem to be pretty hit or miss this year. I mean, kind of looking at their schedule, they put up early on 30 points against West Virginia, 62 points against Howard, 20 points against Illinois, 37 against Kent State, 14 against Iowa, 17 against Ohio State, 16 against Minnesota, 38 against Indiana, 14 against Brent Pry's Penn State Nittany Lions. I don't think Tech will have to go very far for a scouting report in this one. 21 points against Michigan State, 18 points against Michigan, and 16 points against Rutgers. 40 points against Rutgers. So overall, it's been a hit or miss offense all year long. Virginia Tech's defense has been pretty strong throughout most of the year. You look at the outliers being Syracuse and West Virginia, well, first half of the West Virginia game, first half of the Virginia game, very similar both games. They adjusted in the second half in Morgantown. They adjusted in the second half in Charlottesville. Only gave up 3 points in the second half against Virginia. So, yeah, they have struggled to stop the run all year long, and that can be a factor for sure. It seems like Tagovailoa is definitely better in the air, kind of watching some film. So I think this has a chance to be a decent matchup for Virginia Tech. But like you said, it's two teams that in a lot of ways are pretty even. So it should be a fun matchup going forward. And, a lot of people across college football will not pay attention to the 6-6 Maryland versus 6-6 Virginia Tech Pinstripe Bowl. But, for a Virginia Tech or Maryland fan, it should be kind of a decent, fun matchup. And now for these type of bowl games, it kind of gives you, especially with all these opt-outs for Virginia Tech, it kind of gives you, a glimpse into the crystal ball in terms of what you're looking at next year.
That's right. The real college football fans, not just fans of their team, will be watching like me. I watch all the bowl games. Nobody, especially from the Power 5 schools. So on the flip side, whereas Maryland's offense is averaging more than Virginia Tech's defense is giving up, Virginia Tech's offense is averaging less than what Maryland is giving up, which means Maryland is not very good on the defensive side of the ball. So you guys may have some opportunity there. Like Virginia Tech is only averaging 24.8 points a game, but Maryland's giving up 32 points a game. And then like passing yards, Virginia Tech's averaging 165.9 a game, but Maryland's giving up 258.9 a game. So just little things like that. I mean, rushing yards, Maryland do, I guess, a little bit better. You guys are averaging 180 yards a game, but they're only giving up 153.8 yards a game. Do you know what's your quarterback status? Is the starter healthy, or what's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, Braxton Burmeister is going to be the starter for sure. They kind of went with a 2-quarterback system for a little bit, which is a little weird. But they did go with a 2-quarterback system. But yeah, Burmeister is going to be the guy. We may see Connor Blumrick. We'll see. But I would think it's going to be Braxton Burmeister. And it's funny you mentioned those numbers because, yeah, Maryland's defense is not very good. But with all Virginia Tech's offenses missing now, I think Virginia Tech's going to have to win the game on the defensive side of the ball, which we just talked about. But on the offensive side for Virginia Tech, you mentioned Tavion Robinson is no longer with the Hokies, so he will obviously not be suiting up in this game. And then you have opt-outs on the offensive side. I mean, a majority of the opt-outs were on the defensive side, but Trey Turner, he's been banged up. He's opted out of the bowl game just, for health reasons. He's been dealing with a couple of things. So he will be sitting out this game. So receiver-wise, you're likely going to be looking at Caleb Smith and true freshmen like Dwayne Lofton and Jalen Jones, which you really haven't seen much of all year. So Virginia Tech's top 2 receivers are out. Obviously, James Mitchell, starting tight end, he's been out the whole year, and he will not be returning as well. He's going to go ahead and enter the NFL draft. So Virginia Tech's offense is going to be fairly limited in this one. Now, on the ground, there's some opportunities. Raheem Blackshear has really had a strong finish to the year. You still got Malachi Thomas back there, and Braxton Burmeister against Virginia had his best game of the year. Now, Virginia's defense is not very good either. Virginia's defense is one of the worst in the entire Power 5. So that should, I guess, in a way, give Tech fans some hope, because now Maryland's defense is not as bad as Virginia's, but Maryland's defense is not good either. So if Burmeister can play, how he played in the passing game in Charlottesville, he still will have a chance to connect with some of those receivers, whether it's Dwayne Lofton or Caleb Smith, even though it won't be Trey Turner or Tavion Robinson. And Trey Turner really didn't even play against Virginia either because he was banged up. But, the ground game is still going to be there. Blackshear and Thomas should have a shot to have pretty solid games. And overall, there's going to be some opportunities there, but there definitely is a big question mark when you have a true freshman receiver that only has, I believe, I can pull it up right now. I believe he only has 3 or 4 receptions all year long. Yeah, I have it pulled up right now. Yeah, so Dwayne Lofton has 7 receptions so far this year for 98 yards. And then Jalen Jones only has a single reception all year long.
What better time than the bowl game, right?
Caleb Smith. Exactly. So that's what I mean by it. Kind of gives you a glimpse of what you're looking at for next year. Caleb Smith does have 20 receptions on the season, so he's going to be your wide receiver 1, but he's not your typical receiver. They play him in different spots around the field as well. So yeah, they're going to target him, and maybe try to get Dwayne Lofton into double digits in terms of career catches and try to get Jalen Jones over 5. And that may be the game plan. I don't know. It's going to revolve around Braxton Burmeister and probably the guys in the backfield as well. But if they play how they did against Virginia and Burmeister can play how he did in the passing game, like I talked about, they'll have a shot to still, win this game, regardless of, who's playing on either side of the ball.
Well,
and the circumstances.
With Maryland looking for that first win bowl win since being there, playing in their first bowl since 2016 and looking for a win, and you guys, like I say, trying to finish the season strong, replacing your coach. What do you see as a prediction? How you think the game will go? And give me a score prediction.
Honestly, like coming into this, I really had not decided just because there's so much unknown. I think Virginia Tech will take a step back offensively just with, anytime you lose your top 2 receivers, especially with guys as dynamic as those 2 guys, it's tough. And Braxton Burmeister can still play well and give Virginia Tech a chance to win. Those running backs can still play well and give Virginia Tech a chance to win. And those receivers can as well. It's not out of the realm of possibility. But you look at the guys on the defensive side of the ball that have opted out as well. Jordan Williams, who's arguably been Tech's best defender all year long, he's opted out of the bowl game. Jermaine Waller, he's opted out of the bowl game. There's multiple other guys as well that have decided to sit out. Amari Barno as well up front. So they're going to be limited defensively as well. So it's tough to pick a limited team to win, especially with, I guess, the situation they're in. They prevailed through some adversity against UVA to get to that 6th win and get to a bowl game. But honestly, like looking at both teams, I don't think Maryland's very good. And I hate to say it that way, but I think Tagovailoa is a very good quarterback. Like I said, I don't think he has a lot of weapons around him, and I don't think Maryland's defense is very good. So I think it's 2 painfully mediocre teams matching up at Yankee Stadium. I'm going to reserve my right to change this pick since we got 2 weeks left. I think I am going to go Maryland just because of all the opt-outs Virginia Tech has had. It's just tough to pick the Hokies to win with no Tavion Robinson and no Trey Turner and all those guys that I just talked about. But Maryland's team is a little bit more intact. They have a coach right now on the sideline, and J.C. Price is the interim head coach. He's sticking around. He's going to be on Brent Pry's staff, so there is some continuity there. But I think I got to pick Maryland. I could go back. We still got 2 weeks until the game's even played, so I could end up picking Virginia Tech. But I think right now I'm going to pick Maryland just because there's a lot more guys on the Virginia Tech side that have chosen not to play or will be unavailable to play. And Maryland has a coach too. So I think I'm going to take the Terps to win a close one up at the Pinstripe Bowl. But I think the Hokies are like a 4-point favorite right now. So it's a pretty close
I think I didn't know, coming into tonight, but you told me about a lot of opt-outs that I didn't know about, like I say. And like you say, you got some continuity with the coach, interim coach being the head coach, but you got those opt-outs, and Maryland can score. So if anything, I guess you go with, when in doubt, go with I ain't going to say Tagovailoa is the better quarterback, but like you said, I think he has the better weapons around him. So I'm like you. I think I'm going to go with Maryland, and I think it's going to be something like 28-24 or something like that.
And like you said, Maryland, they're able to put up points if they're clicking. If Tagovailoa is clicking, they can put up points. And I just don't have the confidence that Virginia Tech's defense – now, they'll hold them down. They've been decent all year. They've been pretty good all year. But with, missing now – I believe 4 starters off the top of my head due to opt-outs. That's tough too. So gotta go.
Well, like you said, we got 2 weeks for all these bowl games, and opinions can change, but as of now, we're both gonna go with Maryland. So I appreciate you coming back on the show, Carter. We gotta make sure that we get some of this basketball in once basketball season starts as well. Y'all don't forget to go follow him at FQ Virginia Tech. That is all caps FQV, and then the rest is normal capitalizations, FQ Virginia Tech, and then tell them your personal handle again, Carter.
Personal is at CBHill_03. So you can find a lot of stuff on there from FQ to our student sports journalism stuff at Virginia Tech, and a couple other things as well.
All right, so. Because we're cool, Carter. I hope we're both wrong. I hope Virginia Tech pulls it out. But again, thanks for being on the show. Everybody out there in YouTube land, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Put your score predictions down low. and a hashtag for your team. For Carter at FQ Virginia Tech, this is Coach I, Fan Addict, and we are out of here.